Here's a big one. This person says, lately I try to understand the secrets of color and how to achieve color harmony in my paintings. One of my questions is how to choose between color rules, complementary, analogous, triadic, tetradic, and so forth. How to decide the best combination of colors. Note that I usually am painting abstract or semi-abstract where I don't have to recreate colors as if I were painting from photos. All right, I think you might have an answer here that you didn't expect. If you're watching this quick tip, I ask you as a favor to eliminate from your language the word rule. That word rule hampers more artists than any other word, single word I know of in our language. Not rule. There are no rules that create a good artist. There are only principles. And the principles are not something you aim at. They're something you work with. Now, we have certain combinations of color we have discovered that work well together, that do things to each other. But it's better if we understand how colors behave together, how they behave with each other, than trying to remember so-called rules. All right, now, that is a sermon I love to preach. This person was talking about analogous colors. What are analogous colors? They are colors that are cousins on the color wheel. I like the traditional color wheel, the one that names the hues the way we all know hues: yellow, yellow, green, green, yellow, blue, and so on. Not magenta, cyan, and those kinds of names. They don't really tell us anything about the color, but they are identifiable. Magenta, for example, is red-violet. A cyan, for example, is a blue-green. So if we use as our language just the labels of the hues themselves, we can then begin to understand how one hue affects another. So analogous colors are those that are side by side on the color wheel or in the spectrum. And sometimes analogous colors might even reach beyond just 3 colors that are side by side into maybe 4 or 5, depending on which side of the wheel you're working with. For example, if you're working just with warm colors in an analogous scheme where you're only using warm colors, you might go from yellow to yellow-orange to orange to red-orange, and you might even go over to red, although that's not really an analogous color to yellow. But red-orange has yellow in it, so it's a cousin. Or if you're on the cool side, the same way. Now what that means is, if you're working with analogous colors, you're not just working with the fully saturated hue, but you're working with all degrees of saturation. For example, in the yellow-orange range, we know that yellow ochre is also a yellow-orange, but it's not as saturated. So it could belong in that analogous range. We could change any one of these hues by adding something that's complement to it, and it would become a little more neutral, which means less saturated. As long as it still reads as this hue, it belongs in that analogous range. So if you're doing abstract painting, you could do a complete abstract painting with analogous colors and use the full range of the saturations that would go from each one of these to its almost neutral, and you would have that full gamut, which is a word we use when we limit the number of colors we use, to that analogous range, and that would give you color harmony. So what you have here that causes the color harmony is the relationship where there is one color pretty much contained in all of the colors. So that's one thing. Now another relationship is the triad relationship. And a triad relationship is going to give you color harmony, provided you don't move outside the relationship. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So, for example, we could use, if we have yellow-green, red-orange, blue-violet. those three colors, when used as the only colors within the painting, and mixed and intermixed together, will give you color harmony. And so you could create a triangle, or you could just do this, imagine a triangle between any three colors that will have some sort of a relationship. It could be two colors that are closer together on this side and then an opposite color on this side, which would end up being a split complement, which is also a triad. For example, yellow and violet are complements. That's a complementary scheme. You could use just those two and keep color harmony, or you could split one of them, use red violet and blue violet and yellow, and you would have intermixing these three, only these three, also varying the value in all of these, and you would have also a triad relationship. So triad is just another way of choosing colors that have a relationship together. And so as long as you have colors that have a logical relationship, using only those colors to mix, you're going to have a better chance of getting color harmony. Now, another scheme the person mentioned was the Tetradic scheme, and that's where you have four colors. Like, we could put these up. This is, I don't know if I can get that sort of arranged there. Well, you can see the points are not exactly aligned. There we go. Something like that, where you have four colors that are equally spaced on the color wheel, and those four colors then, when mixed together, will give you a color scheme. Now, there's another way you can do this also to get color harmony, and that is to use a mother color. Now, mother color is, regardless of what colors you use, as long as you have one color mixed in some proportion, could be very, very little or it could be a lot, into all the other colors, it's going to give you color harmony. Now, that can happen in abstract painting. It could also happen in realistic painting. And we can see an example right here with this photograph. Let's put this up right here. You can see an example that we have underlying all these colors. We have the color yellow. We have all the greens that we see in the background. We have the oranges here. Even the darker browns there have the orange in them. And so all the hues that we see here have a single hue in them, and that gives color harmony. So all those ways are very flexible ways of thinking about color. Another way would be to establish a sequence for setting up your palette, where, let me put this up and show you what I'm talking about, where you begin, you create a sequence of selection, where you just start with, if you're looking at a landscape, or you're looking at anything, it doesn't matter whether it's a landscape, you look at a single color that is present there. Well, we see blues present and we see greens present. Say for example, you say, all right, blue. So which kind of blue? Do you want the blue that leans towards yellow, or do you want the blue that leans towards violet or towards red? So once you choose the blue, then you choose the complement of that blue, and that simply means that to choose a complement, you go to the opposite side of the color wheel. So for example, here, if you choose just a blue that leans in either direction, orange. Now you have blue and orange. That's a complementary set. Now, you could say, I also would like not just the blue, but I would also like a color that would warm the blue. Well, orange does warm the blue. You could say, then I want a color that cools the blue. Well, blue is cool as the color can go. So you have the blue and the orange. Then you say, after you go through those selections, then will blue and orange give me the other colors I see? And the answer is no. You need a second color of the green. So you choose the yellow green. This is the second color that you're choosing for your combination. So you already have blue and orange on the palette. you would choose the yellow-green, and then you ask that next question, and the question is, what is the complement of yellow-green? It's red-orange. Now you have a tetrad set of colors that have a relationship on the color wheel. The next question asks about the yellow-green. Among these colors I've chosen, do I have the ability to cool the yellow-green? Blue. Do I have the ability to warm the yellow-green? Orange. So you have all those abilities. Once, if you use that sequence of selection, it's just another way to have more flexibility in selection of your color and get color harmony. Be sure to view all of our quick tips. And while you're doing so, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell so you'll always get a notice when we produce a new quick tip, which is every week. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments section and we'll make a quick tip for you. Also, take a trip over to DianneMize.com where I have full-length lessons, downloads, DVDs, lots of other stuff there, some free stuff for you. And while you're there, you can subscribe to the newsletter, and that way you'll always be informed every time we do something new.